Do you want to take it?
Yeah.
Can I talk?
Wait, does the light on the camera like justify sunglasses, or is that going to make
Oh, please.
like...
Semi-dark.
Can I get away with these yet?
For fuck's sake.
No, I don't think so.
But there's something going on. Why are they flamingos, and why do they look like they're kind of a bit lecherous? And why are there flamingos there at all? And they're kind of rather ugly, and they should have been swans. You know, you could have chosen a more graceful. Yeah, all of that sort of thing going on. Why do the women look actually a bit vicious? And you know, the discomfort creeps in, and then again, as I say, the familiarity of her face. And why they're both looking the same? They're the same woman. Are they twins? And you know, all of those things begin to. You go from a nice, comfortable, apparently classical picture to those things going on. And the flamingos were a really good sort of cipher or whatever, because they were confusing and ugly and lecherous, weren't they?
Yeah, they were kind of all over her, like worms.
You know.
Well, she's very, very naked. Well, the interpretation, the tan line, in the way that it's the opposite of what was it, Manet's nude, where she has the necktie, which accentuates her nakedness. And I think the tan lines do that, but they do it in a, you know, there's her crutch, and very visible hairless crutch and breasts that are like perfect breasts. And there you have these tan lines over those very key points on her body that accentuates those areas.
Mm. I guess it's just the difference in the generations. I struggled with the fact that, you know, her body, she's not got any pubic hair.
That's normal.
That's normal for you, but it's different for me. It's just different in generation and how I think that a woman's body looks sexier. I think there's something about having, it's like a child's body when I see no pubic hair.
No, it's cleaner. It's like men are supposed to be hairy, women aren't. Like.
But women are given hair. But you can look at that in a couple of different ways, can't you?
That's why we have razors to take it off.
No, but that's something that man created. Nature created the hair. The hair's supposed to be there, isn't it, to protect?
And so I think, well, that's you know, it's about the nakedness. Mm. And but that's quite a sexy picture as well. But again, I'm constantly reminded that it's not her, and that's unsettling.
For me, some of these pictures, there's an invasion that goes on. I think there's an invasion of our senses.
And he said, they're incredibly powerful, but they're very uncomfortable. And I said, well, that's the right response. That's you know, that's what we're looking for.
I think I like the one where there's two ladies and the flamingos are sort of pecking at the tits, and one of them's got her head rested on the shoulder of the one who's being pecked at, and I just kind of feel like it represents the duality of introvert masking as extrovert.
These flamingos are like hands, and the woman in the front who's closest to them is accepting them, even though she's kind of covering herself. But then the one in the back she's like shamed by it.
What we see here also is like this is clear. I mean, these women look very similar. If they're not the exact same person, are they siblings? Are they twins?
I think for me, like they're sisters. It's not the same person. And there's a determination there. They're using their femininity. They're using that sexuality. They're making their way. They're heading towards something, and they're like using that to get through whatever it is they're facing, whatever it is they're doing, in quite quite an impersonal way, but they're really aware of it, and it's empowering as for them in a sense, in that they know that they can use this. But at the same time, I think they're aware of a struggle within them that says, why should we have to use this?
This lady on the left would represent to me as that inner self. She's the authentic self, and that's how it would look. If, you know, it's almost actually like this is a performance, which for a lot of people sex is. You know, there's that pressure of performing, and she's still giving off, she still wants to entertain. You know, she might not enjoy this, but she still wants to give off she wants to purport like it's entertaining. She wants to give off a sense of, this is entertaining for me, and that I'm providing some sort of pleasure for you, like I'm invested somewhat in making it seem like a...
So for me, I'm getting the flamingos are almost press or media or something, and the first woman is really kind of reluctantly smiling at them. Yes, I know what I've got to do. Yes, this is, you know, this is the social norm. Yeah. I will do what you guys are expecting of me. And then it's the same, you know, it's the same person, but the other side of her is just like, fuck's sake, man, like I hate this, I can't bear it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just soul destroying, and I just want to cover myself, and I don't want to be exhibited in front of this paparazzi of flamingos just sort of chatting away, and you know, not even really acknowledging me, not even acknowledging that I'm naked. Really, it's just such a norm that I should be in a way, and I could be anybody. It doesn't matter, and I've just got to smile and just do the motions for these people.
And it's like the face of the ego, the face we want to present to people, that we get to choose what we present to those people. It's like our outside mask. And then we've got this real, vulnerable, tender, inside part of us that this lady represents. And she's like weak, but she doesn't want to show that. That's what I get from it.
For me, if I take the rest of the photograph, the rest of the drawing out of the equation, and I just see that bit, there's something quite sexy about it. When I see the whole image together, there's like the burden of that sexuality in the picture, which I struggle, because the women's heads, you know, it's like they don't look happy in their things. They look as though their bodies are twisted slightly. It doesn't look like a comfortable thing, but I actually find that quite sexy. The woman just touching herself that far. It doesn't.
She's looking at something and touching herself. I mean, there's a voyeurism in the picture. The voyeurism is not us looking at the picture. The voyeurism is her looking at something and touching herself. But I guess at the end of the day, that's not what's important. I mean, you have to make your own minds up about that idea of looking at something and seeing it as sexually attractive and reacting to that. I mean, why would we demonise those patterns of behaviour, like when everyone does it to an extent?
Yeah.
I don't really like the one where she's touching herself.
Why don't you like it?
Don't know.
What does it say to you?
That women shouldn't masturbate. As mad as that sounds, like obviously it's a natural thing in life, but it's like, I don't know, like men are open with that kind of thing. Like obviously it's a normal thing for men to do, but it's a normal thing for women to do as well. But I don't know, I just don't think it should be put on show and put on display. Like, I don't know.
And should it be for men to be put on show and
No,
display?
obviously not, because like our sexuality is our sexuality, and that's like our personal life. If you're open about it, fair enough, that's your choice, but I don't know.
It just doesn't sit with you.
Yeah.
I guess what I see from it is more of a struggle between, I don't know, being like sexually in tune with oneself and having some resistance around what it is that society believes you should be, in a way, or what you believe you should be, or how you are being interpreted by others. And it feels like a struggle there. You know, it feels she's not even paying full attention to. Her mind's on other things, even though she's playing with herself. It seems so, and it's almost like the expression on the girl's face who's like got her arm round. It's like there seems a little bit of resistance, a bit of anger. It's not necessarily something she feels totally comfortable with. She's sort of being dragged in that direction, and it doesn't necessarily, for me, seem that full comfortability that can be enjoyed through, sexual arousal. And I don't know what that mirrors. I mean, it brings up all sorts in me, that's for sure. Well, this one's amazing. This one, this one, she's got like, I don't know, flamingos or something hanging around her neck.
Yeah, they look dead.
And yeah, all the ones around her neck are dead, but she's still got one alive on her shoulder, like kind of chattering in her ear. She looks pretty amused by what this flamingo has to say.
A little bit manic.
Yeah. She's like, holy shit, no way. Okay. And to be honest, a flamingo looks, if it is it a flamingo? Whatever, it's like some long-necked bird that's got a sinister side to it, man. It's got a look in its eye like it's controlling something or trying to manipulate. And
she's got a similar look in her eyes.
Yeah, and there's like the kind of coupling up on some sort of strategic mission on manipulating something. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Then you stop thinking about the Ruby thing.
Yeah.
Then you start seeing a woman, a powerful woman, and she seems to be wearing the dead flamingos like a kind of, like a stole, like a fur, like an animal, a dead animal or something. You do, particularly in that laughing Ruby, you kind of stop identifying with her as being Ruby. I don't know why that is. I don't know why.
Yeah, it seems like a sort of crazed character out of Ruby.
Yeah.
Hysteria. That's the kind of whole Freudian wandering of the womb. The the kind of the hysterical housewife, unfulfilled and not satisfied with her domesticity. This kind of the like a 1960s portrayal of womanhood.
But also just having them all hanging, like a hunter does, where they hang the pelts over their shoulders, or a woman wearing the fur stole.
There's sort of these people come and go. This is where they lie when I'm finished with them.
But I mean, I see it as slightly phallic. I see it as kind of like, a male character perhaps. I mean, there are other pictures where it looks like there's some sort of almost flirtatious interaction, but
the interplay, the relationship here, which has echoes of Leda and the Swan and that mythology of coupling between women and animals, birds, sorry, mythologically speaking, has gone the other way here. It's a different result. He's toast.
But
assuming they're female flamingos and that's they're male flamingos. You know what I'm saying? The mythology. I'm reading it. This one, through the interpretation of that mythological, where Jupiter is a bird, is a swan, and approaches this beautiful girl who otherwise wouldn't let him near, as a bird. Yeah, and so they have sex, and this is. I can't look at that without that resonance, but it's very interesting how it goes. I was quite surprised that it went from this lovely, playful, beautiful one, this sad girl, I couldn't quite understand it, to this, which looks like something quite out of the ordinary.
And that again, that picture of the guy who's laughing and the woman's got him, wrapped around her shoulders, and she looks as though she's carrying the weight of her sexuality, and it's almost like there's a thing in that picture that's, the man's laughing, but she's feeling the burden of it.
I wouldn't say carrying the burden of her sexuality, I'd say she's carrying the weight of him,
Yeah.
not in this physical sense, obviously.
Like, I see that he's throwing like a tantrum, he's in a lot of pain actually, and she's carrying this fully grown, balding man who is crying and crying and crying, and she seems to have his arm around his arm to like place it on her belly, like, feel my stability here, right? You know, and I will carry you the whole way that you can't fucking make, even though, you know, this society deems the men to be the strong ones. Really underneath that, you know, when shit falls apart, women are there strong, carrying these guys when they're in tears, when they're, you know, I think women see guys in the most vulnerable situations far more than guys see guys in vulnerable situations. And the expression on her face is just kind of like, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I am doing this because I'm fucking strong, and this is what the right thing to do is, and it's not, this is just, you know, this is kind of what I want to do, even though it feels totally imbalanced.
It's a reversal of expectation in many ways, it looks like, because her expression is so strong and clearly has nothing to do with the fact that there's a naked guy on her back. It doesn't look like she's even aware of it, or she's got a purpose in mind that's so different and it's focused out there. She's not in any way looking in any defensive or apologetic way, is she? Or she's looking for some other thing. And this is not a, I didn't view it as being a man on her back as such, but more a kind of, this is the weight of the world's commentary about you. Because here, this is his role, isn't it? This guy is laughing at everything and is responding to everything with a mocking and cynical approach.
I would put it more as laughing, but I'm interested in like the difference between her face and his.
If she was smiling, then it would change everything. Even if there was a softness to her eyes, it would change everything.
And like his arms come round to her waist, which is almost protective, but it's certainly not aggressive. I think he's almost just resting on her without actually holding on. Because again, his top arm, if you are holding on or trying to fight, his top arm is almost just resting on top of her right shoulder.
Yeah.
If he was gripping on or anything, he would come down far lower.
But at the same time, is that a natural place to hold someone if you had them in a fire lift? That still looks like. Is that a natural place to hold someone if you had them in a fire lift? I mean, I'm tempted to put you in a fire lift now just to see, like, if that is realistic. But
no, we're not.
That looks to me like she's restraining his arm. If I had someone.
All right, tell you what, Will, put me in a fire lift.
We'll put you in a fire lift. Right, let's do this.
You sure you can still carry me?
I don't know. You don't look like you've had that many gains recently.
Everything, like motherhood. It's funny that you said like he's kicking and screaming, because I saw laughter. And I'm seeing now, after thinking about the shape of her body, and it's like she's upholding these ideals of femininity that society throws out there. But by doing that, she's also upholding this idea of masculinity. I don't know why he's laughing about it. It's like, the way he has his arms around her is as respectful as it can be in his position. But he's almost holding her back as well. It's like, heart and gut, it's like this kind of like, these are central areas that she needs. This is her control areas.
You got it? Ah!
But it just seems so fucked up that when they're not falling apart, you know, these women who are holding them up get totally objectified by it all.
Or, you know, maybe she's his slave, you know. He's like an emperor on a sedan chair and she's the sedan chair, you know, and he's parading her around town, trying to humiliate her.
She's like a superhero. Justice.
Is it though?
It's not just,
That's
well, yeah, I wouldn't
Right.
see justice at all. I don't see justice in her face. This is not, oh yeah, this feels right.
Well, you could read that as like, essentially the woman helping herself. Which then gives her agency again.
Yeah, she's got agency. In all these pictures, I see an element of agency, particularly the one where she's got the guy strung over her shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that's a really feminist image. I mean, if you're going to make a big deal of the tits, you're the one who's being reductive, really. If you're the one who just looks at that and goes, tits. I mean, like, clearly the point of this picture is she's got this man strung over her shoulders. It doesn't even look like he's giving consent. His legs are bent up really awkwardly, almost in a kind of scared position, and she's holding his arm. Like, it doesn't look like he's holding onto her. She's restraining his arm the one that's reaching around her body.
She's startled, or she's quite aggressive, but she's definitely, her physique, the strength that's coming up through the body, she's not weighed down.
No.
I mean, that
she's
is a
carrying,
weird image.
to me, it's almost like she's carrying that man off into to her cave to savage him or something.
And he's looking forward to it.
He's looking forward to it.
I just think they were fascinating images.
Look says to me, I don't know, it's a challenge, it's a dare to challenge what she's doing.
Yeah, that's true. That's it, that's exactly it.
She moves into this role where she suddenly becomes significantly more powerful. You know, she's holding this guy, and it's not that she's required to do it or asked to do it, but this is almost like her maternal instinct. Like, even though these guys are fucking assholes most of the time in the media, this is what really feels great, you know, to be able to hold somebody when they need to be held. And it's totally unbalanced when they don't need to be held, and she would really appreciate it if the balance was looked at more closely, and that throughout, you know, 90% of their time when he's not needing to be held, there's a mutual respect.
But also, significantly, if she is directing his arm, she's directing his arm to the belly, to the womb, to the seat of motherhood.
This is showing a woman apparently in a variety of pre and post coital attitudes. So like this is like afterwards. Sorry guy. No? Isn't it? So this is, I don't know quite, without giving it a purely sexual interpretation, I don't mean that at all. But this seems to also be pre and that's post, and it's an interesting juxtaposition.
Do you think that the misogyny that people saw in these pictures was then just kind of a tool or byway to something else?
I honestly think those people who are taking this supposedly hardline feminist view are actually imposing their own very conservative views of female sexuality upon these images, because they're the ones who are reducing it to the nudity, they're the ones who are sexualizing it, they're the ones who are not reading into it, and they're the ones who are effectively taking the agency away from, not necessarily Ruby, but this character, this persona, this figure as depicted in art.
And I remember my father saying that, he said, God, they're really unsettling. Or they've been vanquished anyway, haven't they, the lecherous flamingos that were sort of creeping in toward, you know, it's a...
In a way, I just thought of it just now, the flamingos could be the men.
Well, that was the other thing.
You know, they're looking
in a very obvious
and then
way.
in the dead ones, the smiling Ruby,
it could be.
They're the men that want to be with her, and the men that have been with her. You know, that are, you know, that she's chucked.
Yeah, because that's the other thing, of course. There is the obvious phallic thing going on, and she definitely comes out on top, doesn't she?
Yeah.
So that's another interesting thing, isn't it, from the feminist point of view? That nobody, not that they don't seem to notice that the strength of those images.
Yeah, it's not at all derogatory to us women. I mean, if we could all be represented with the strength that you've represented those characters, then
it's very
we'd be very pleased with it.
Her hair is kind of Medusa-like as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
kind of
there's
like,
a distinct lack of hair elsewhere.
Oh, body hair, yeah. I hadn't even thought of that. Typical man, yeah.
But, you know, if I look at a woman and you know, see a naked woman sexually, then if I don't see pubic hair, just to me I go straight to this is a little girl. But that's just difference in our generation, isn't it? And what I suppose it's that thing, isn't it? What do we grow up with? And how does that come into us? So it's what I'm used to and what I've always been used to. And for you, you're being given these images that's what I suppose. I don't know whether it's changed in porn, and porn has.
I don't know. I've never watched porn.
Have you not?
No.
I think maybe a little cross of my mind of, you know, what
made you draw her body like that? That was a bit of a question in my mind. The thing probably I feel more strongly about is the shape of the women. You know, the fact that, you know, it's a lot of the size of the women that are shown on television are standard, you know,
which is again is part of the artwork,
skinnier,
isn't it?
and that
You
sort of
Googled.
thing was that's what bothered me more about the naked pictures.
But that was a point. Yes, exactly.
It was answered by the fact that these are pictures that
you were very clear
what you're
about
given.
that. Yeah.
That's what you're given. That's what you see. That's the stuff that comes at you.
So who should we be criticising, Amartey or
the people that are putting those pictures out there?
Yeah, the internet.
The advertisers that use that standard skinny type, you know.
The waist is a little bit thin. The boobs are just a bit too perky. I don't know. It doesn't seem real.
But it's idealised. It's not a real woman, and yet it is. And it's like, as a real woman, and you're idolising that woman. And there's fucking loads of magazines out there that do that to the detriment of women. And I think I said this to you. It's all coming back now. I say it's a bit offensive to the male gaze, and it's not the way I see women. I like to see women because too many magazines do that. They objectify, and they push this ideal, this male gaze thing, and it's been going on, it's still going on, particularly lads mags. And whether the breasts are big, hippie, hourglass, whatever, and they're fighting back. You know, there's these super size models now, aren't there, that are beautiful, but in a way they're still not doing themselves any good because they're models. They're there to be objectified in a way. Whether they're fighting the female cause or whatever, I don't know, but that is part of that problem.
I'm also seeing this cup here that has...
Right. Does it make a difference that I'm drinking out of it? Yeah, God, that's so bad.
Las Vegas, Sin City.
What we should be saying is people are people, and they have their own shapes regardless of what you see in a magazine or through the media or the TV, whatever.
Like male bodies are more often clothed or more often have the right to be clothed than female bodies in popular culture all of the time.
And the right to be unclothed. Men can walk around topless.
Men can walk around topless.
They have more right to their bodies. Yeah, they're not charged bodies.
Yeah. And they're more often seen clothed and women are seen unclothed, and there's a much more... both of those have a kind of a deliberate purpose, you know. And yeah, but then being topless, you know, this whole like free nipple. Being topless if you're a man is like not an issue because it's just your body. It's not a sexual thing.
Yeah, female bodies have to be political all the time.
Yeah.
You can't see them depoliticised.
Yeah.
So showing, regardless of whose body, showing a female body is then inherently something that's going to have more of a...
Covered up is a bit more sexy.
Yeah,
I can remember one of the sexiest things that stood out in my mind was when I was in a pub in Hull. I worked as a groupie many years ago. So I was very early 20s, and there was a girl stood there, and she had a very fine pleated skirt on. It was quite see-through, and it was a long skirt down to her ankles, but she had a pair of like what was called French knickers that were sort of like almost shorts with lace on them, so you could just see the lace through the skirt. But it was just how she was dressed. It was very, very sexy, yet there was nothing. And it, you know, I've never sort of really looked at women and fancied women, but it was just something about it that was really, really sexy, and it stayed with me all these years. And I think, you know, you know, for a man's body, you know, for the tightness of the shirt across, you know, muscles or something like that creates more of a sexual thing for me than having a no top on.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
But when you're younger, you know, when you're wearing hot pants, well, I don't know if she ever went through that phase, because she's always been very prudish. But when I was young, and we'd wear the little tops that held up God, only God.
My auntie says I wear too much clothes. And auntie thinks that, especially when I was single, that I'd never find a man because I didn't wear sexy clothes.
No, it wasn't the sexy clothes. There's a difference between sexy and sexy clothes. I've had some sexy clothes, let me tell you. So I know sexy clothes. But as a woman, if you're looking someone, you present yourself different than when you're not. And I'm not looking at someone, so I present myself one way. And you were looking someone and you didn't present yourself to me in the way that would have helped that situation. From my experience.
I know as a woman, if I choose to dress a certain way, if I was to do that, if I was to sort of portray myself in a certain image, I would have a different effect on people.
But men like to see you in an ankle. Many times she don't even show an ankle. So I'm not talking the old type of pictures below. I'm talking an ankle. I'm talking a arm. Because I'm not naked. How I'm dressed here right now, I'm not naked. But am I naked? But she'd walk through fire. She would die before she could do anything like this. Because to her it's naked. I'd have to have my cardigan on. And I'd have to have 10 scarf around my neck. Because woe betide if I show a crease. Because that means I've got breast. I've got breast the size of a small country. There's no point in hiding that. Where am I hiding it?
I know what she's saying, and it's just I'm not confident.
No, but what I'm trying to say to her, men don't want a slut, but they like an arm, you know. An arm. I am not showing any. I'm not showing any cleavage. Can you see anything? Okay. And look, I'm an old bag, and I'm still able to show what.
And sometimes being completely covered up and just having your body silhouetted is far more sexy than having everything out on show.
But sometimes when you see a nun, no man gets an erection in a convent, or very rarely. It's all I'm prepared to say.
I'm happy with the way I look at women at the moment, but I'm not happy about the way that you are looking at Ruby and then creating this mashup, because it kind of reflects on me. And maybe that's how I sort of took it personally.